Hello and welcome to the Barcast. I'm your host, Nick Barr. Let's jump right into the Enneagram Type 2, whose passion is orgullo, or pride. So this is what Naranjo has to say by way of introduction to the 2. In all spiritual traditions, pride is considered the primary sin, as the proud person resolves the loss of meaning and connection by filling the void with a grandiose self-image. The construction of a luminous and exalted self-image must be fueled by the need to be loved and adored by others. Their pride requires others to see them as indispensable and irreplaceable without realizing to what extent they themselves actually depend on others. The 2 confuses their own pleasure with giving pleasure to others. They lack direct contact with their essential needs. In their family, the 2 child was often a source of joy and fulfillment. They often took on the role of alleviating pain or deficiencies and bringing light to the family's shadows. This difficult role did not represent authentic recognition or value for them, but was the only way they found to be seen. However, it became a massive defense against the pain of the humiliation of being used. The great narcissistic satisfaction of being, quote, the light of mom's eyes for boys or dad's for girls comes at the cost of being unable to fulfill their own role. The 2 forms loving bonds primarily through a compulsion to be seductive. They could be defined as specialists in falling in love, a situation that makes them feel alive. They cannot help but conquer people and territories without even questioning whether the person or territory is genuinely interesting to them. Being at the center of attention or occupying a privileged position for the self-preservation 2 gives them the assurance that they will not be abandoned as they are the irreplaceable partner or friend. In relationships, they cannot withdraw from their task of filling others or satisfying their demands. They must present themselves as someone who has everything to give, someone without needs. This false abundance defines their interpersonal style, their fixation. The ease with which they form affectionate and erotic relationships is reflected in their body, soft and flexible, with a gaze unafraid of direct contact, sometimes bordering on invasive. The expression of their eroticism is free. That's Naranjo's introduction to the 2. Strong description. And of course, you hear a lot of the conventional descriptions of the 2 here, right? The helper, somebody who really needs to be needed. They have a need to be needed. They have a need to be helpful in an essential way. So there's a lot to disentangle here. And so I think all I want to do for this introduction is just do a little bit more discerning between the 2 and other types. So the first type we might look at is the 7. So when you hear this, being a source of joy and fulfillment, taking on the role of alleviating pain or deficiencies, bringing light to the family's shadows. The 7 can be described in terms of family history is oftentimes the same way. But remember, the 7 is a little bit more of the jester, the clown, the entertainer. There's a quality of distraction in the 7 strategy, originally with their caregiver, right? Potentially distracting, let's say, one of their parents from their depression. But that distraction then persists through adulthood, where they distract themselves from the negative by looking on the positive or switching things up, right? And so the way that the 7 brings light to the family's shadows is through distraction. Hey, look at the shiny light. Whereas the 2 takes it upon themselves, and this is where you can hear a little bit of the 1, to make things right. The 2 seems to be a source of joy and fulfillment, filling the exact hole that they intuit the family to be missing. So the 2 is really a light bringer in that sense. And so rather than shining a light as a distraction, they bring light into darkness. And like the one, they've spotted that something's not right, and they've taken it upon themselves to fix it. But where the one is part of the doing triad, and so the one is concerned mostly with like fixing things, making the situation right, bringing perfection or order or morality to a somehow unjust or corrupted world. The two is, we're now in the feeling triad, and so the two is going to be primarily concerned with how people feel, the emotions, love, where people heart, the heart of the matter. When I think about a two, I think about someone with a great smile who just by smiling makes other people happy. And that's one of the wonderful things about smiling and about positivity, right? Is these are magical gifts where just simply by being positive in a room, you change the alchemy of the room. And I think twos maybe have this ability to change the alchemy of the room. I think where twos get confused is that smile, when that smile slips into pride, into what Naranjo beautifully calls false abundance. And so that smile then can quickly become a mask that hides the ways that the two's needs are not being met, or the two's own aspirations for life that they haven't even asked themselves, well, what do I want? What do I need? And that's a classic challenge for a two. So now you can hear the three, right? Like the one, the two has put a lot on themselves in terms of burden to bring, make things right in the family. But where the one is primarily concerned with doing and justice, doing what's right, two is going to be primarily concerned with making people feel better, feel good, feeling the truth. But like the three, the two is going to make a bargain in which they separate from their own needs. And so where the three has trouble asking themselves, what do I really want? The two has trouble asking themselves, what do I really need? What do I need? And similarly, the two, just as the three is primarily concerned with what other people want, the two, the marketing personality as it's called, the two is primarily concerned with what other people need and meeting those needs. So you can hear the one, you can hear the three, you can hear the seven. And the last thing that you'll maybe be able to connect here a little bit is the 8. So the 2 is very not like the 8 in a lot of ways, but the 2 has a line connecting them to the 8. And the 2, you hear Naranjo describing unafraid of direct eye contact. Their sort of eroticism is free and open. There's an openness to them that there's a little bit of intensity there that might be like an 8. An 8 is also very open and very direct. But they're quite different, right? Because the 8 is the champion of their own needs, right? This is the type of lust and desire and satisfaction and possessiveness, right? So the 8 gets what they want or takes what they need. The 2 will occasionally move to 8 when their strategy breaks down and they realize, gosh, I keep giving to other people, but I'm not getting what I need. And so the 2 will occasionally move into their 8 and then get what they need. And do it from a sense of, finally, like, not exactly punishment, right? Punishment is so present for the 8, but there can be punishment there for the 2 too, because keep in mind, the 2 this whole time has been meeting people's needs with the hope, with the crazy idea that they'll at some point get their needs met too. But the 2 eventually finds that doesn't happen. No matter how much I'm extending myself, meeting the needs of others, they're not reciprocating. They're not now magically meeting my needs without me having to articulate them. So the two, when they finally are in contact with their needs, are oftentimes doing so from a place of frustration or resentment or kind of a punitive energy. And so there can be 8 energy with a 2 as well. So I'll pause there with the 2, and we'll dig into the social 2 next time.